Hi, I'm Suzy, one of the program specialists here at your local SELPA. One of the most frequent questions we get here in our office is how to deal with challenging student behaviors. I've got some tips for you, so let's get started. It is important to think about what motivates you to work with children that are harder to reach and harder to teach. When we are reminded of that motivation, it can fuel our interest in the students we work with and help prevent burnout. So self-care is an important first step for dealing with student behaviors. I'm not talking about the commercialized market of spa treatments and products that have been promoted by the beauty industry. What I'm talking about is just basic healthy habits like eating well or exercising, doing some self-reflection through journaling, maybe some meditation, and also mindful activities that help you maybe get out into nature or try new things. Remember, when it comes to changing student behavior, it starts with you. You are the most powerful tool for shaping student behaviors. We can't expect to change student behavior until we first explore what our own behavior needs to change first. This could mean being willing to try a new strategy or changing our typical response to difficult behaviors. Some of the difficult things to deal with when it comes to student behaviors is just how our body just immediately responds. So what I'd like for you to do is think about those challenging student behaviors and observe what's happening in your body. What happens when your body starts to react? Like, do you notice that you're clenching your teeth? Do you notice an increased heart rate? Do you feel like you're getting hot? Those are some physical cues or changes that are basically warning signs that you're going into fight or flight, and you might have some difficulty thinking clearly of positive or productive responses to those challenging behaviors. So rather than reacting, take a pause if you can. Maybe create a distance between you and the feeling you're experiencing when faced with those challenging student behaviors. It can be helpful to say in your mind, I'm noticing I'm feeling angry or frustrated. And then take a quick calming moment. Maybe breathe intentionally or try counting in your mind. And then once you've taken a pause to keep your cool, it's time to intervene with the student. The most successful interventions for challenging behavior require an analysis of the individual student. However, when you're in the moment, a good approach would be to first connect with the student and then offer two acceptable choices. Of course, you're going to want to give them time to decide what to do next. So by connecting with the student, you're doing so on an emotional level when responding to challenging or difficult behavior. This is an important step and can remind the student that you really care about them and you want them to be successful. Here's some examples. When you want to communicate, like maybe the partnership that you and the student have, you say something like, let's work together on this. If you want to show empathy, you can sound something like, wow, that sounds frustrating. Maybe you can offer an apology by saying something like, wow, I'm sorry that happened to you. You can share your respect for the student by saying something like, I see you've worked really hard on this. You can maybe legitimize how they're feeling by saying, I could see why you would feel this way. You can offer support by saying something like, well, let's see what we can do. Once you've connected with the student, then offer them two acceptable choices, not a choice of following the direction or getting a punishment. It's two acceptable directions or choices that they can do within the activity of the classroom. So for example, you can offer maybe a choice of who they work with by offering to work with maybe a classroom volunteer or work with a peer. You could also provide them with choices of how they complete their work. Do you want to do the odds or the even number problems? You can ask them if they want to use a pen or a pencil. I recently did a training where the teacher said that she offered to use, you could do the work on the worksheet or you can actually write directly on your desk because they had dry erasers and their desks were able to do so. And I thought, oh, that's a nice choice that maybe the student would take her up on. Of course, you can always use icons for students who have difficulty understanding verbal language. You can find these and many, many more on the internet. You've connected and you've given two acceptable choices. Now let the student know that you're going to give them a few minutes to think it over. Be sure to come back and ask them what they've decided and provide positive feedback for making a good choice. This wait time is a benefit to the student to allow them time to process the choice that you've offered, but also gives you time to wait, breathe, and consider your next response. As soon as you see any indication that the student is making a good choice, whether they've quieted down or they've made any sort of steps towards acceptable behavior, it is essential that it is acknowledged. Saying something like, "Thank you for picking up your book," or "Good choice in starting with that first problem." If after 2 rounds of offering choices, connecting with the student, and they continue to escalate, then it would be necessary to follow through with a pre-planned consequence. Perhaps the student is not able to earn minutes on the computer during choice time. Perhaps they're not able to earn points towards another privilege during this period. It is important to use consequences fairly by not taking away previously earned points. If you do this, you may lose trust with the student, and it'll likely damage the relationship you've worked so hard to build. Remember, you are the most important tool for shaping student behavior, and it begins by knowing which behaviors elicit strong responses and identifying their impact within you. Connect with the student before you correct their behavior, then offer 2 acceptable choices. Give the student some wait time and come back to either repeat the direction or reinforce any sort of signs of compliance. That could sound like, "I'm here for you and can help. Would you like to do the first problem together, or would you like to ask a buddy to help you? I'm going to give you a couple minutes to decide." Hopefully these tips will be helpful in addressing some challenging behaviors you're seeing in your classroom. Remember, you can always call us here at the SELPA if you're needing additional support. Thanks for watching.